Hey everybody, welcome back to Yoga Midday. We did this gentle yoga last week on Friday. We're going to do it again today, hoping we don't get interrupted. I'm going to go for about 45 minutes today. Again, this should be able to be done by just about anybody. All you need for this is a yoga mat or just any mat for that matter. Helpful to have beach towels, which I know you guys have. This is just a simple Costco beach towel. Actually, it's the same size as a yoga blanket, believe it or not. And you can clean it in the washing machine with hydrogen peroxide and soap. So you can keep them sanitized too. Anyway, we're going to place these on our mat. I'm outside today, which is kind of nice because I'm staying away from the television. We're going to place one towel in the center of our mat so we can keep our knees padded. And we'll place another one just beside us just in case we need it. This we can also use later for Shavasana. So what I'd like you to do, guys, is start on hands and knees in an all-fours position. I'll put this over to one side. Anyway, so we'll start here. Hands are underneath shoulders, knees are under hips. You'll inhale and open the chest and shoulders. So this is, we'll do a traditional cat and cow. Exhale, roll under. Inhale, open up. Exhale, tuck under. So as you exhale, you're engaging the obliques, the sides of the waist, and bringing your ribs towards your hips. As you inhale, draw your shoulder blades down your back. Lift the heart center through your upper arms. And inhale, and exhale. And inhale, and exhale. Inhale, and exhale. Inhale, and exhale. Now, pause in the middle for just a moment. We're going to move into a cat pose. This is just the arch of your back with the belly button drawn to spine. I want you to inhale and exhale here and really try and open up the back side of your ribs as you do this. So big breath in, belly up to your rib cage and into the upper back. Pause for just a second and exhale. And let it go. Big breath in, up through the back side of the rib cage. Pause and exhale, let it go. Inhale through the rib cage. Pause, exhale, let it go. Inhale in through the upper back. Pause and exhale. And now from here, we're going to walk our hands forward and rock front to back. So we'll take our hands to the front of the mat, lengthen the spine, straighten the hips. Exhale back into child's pose. Notice I'm doing a little bit shorter child's pose here. Now, I'm cushioning my knees and my kneecaps with the towel underneath me. You can also do this by folding up your mat. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And deep breath in. And deep breath out. Inhale. And exhale. Now we're going to see how tight our shoulders are. So reach back and put your head down on the ground. And you'll feel the underside of the shoulders open. Now, if you feel any bunching or pinching underneath your shoulders as you do this, I want you to come up a little bit, or you can set your elbows down with this and let the head hang in between and then rock back and forth. So moving the shoulders and the hips then, rock back and forth, or if you're way down low, you'll continue to do this straight armed. Now if you have any wrist issues, you can likewise go to the elbows with this one. And again, make sure you don't feel any pinching or bunching in the lower back or the shoulders. If you do, you may need to widen your hands or narrow the hands or move outwards or inwards a little bit. So adjust as needed. And now inhale. As you exhale, I want you to sink back into a child's pose. Now, a child's pose, we fold our hips and our heels together and place our head down on the ground, okay? Now, if you feel any pinching around the hips, you can always place the other towel underneath your hips, or if the tops of the feet are tight, you can place that underneath the tops of the feet. Either one, or make the towel long and wrap it around. So the other way to do that would be to roll it, put the feet under, right? And then we can actually create a little shelf for ourselves in a supported child's pose. Now, if you feel that in the hips too much, you can always do an open child's pose. And again, if that doesn't feel okay on the shoulders, hands can be down to your feet, or they can be up by your head. And you can actually do almost like a little mock-up headstand, so to speak, by cradling the head and the elbows. So inhale and exhale. 2 more deep breaths in. And release back. And now, coming onto the hands and knees, we are going to do a few poses from kneeling, okay? Again, make sure that your knees are padded. We can take this out from under us for a little bit. Feet are hips distance. We'll take 1 foot forward. And we want the heel to be directly underneath the knee. Open space between the hip and the thigh. Step forward just a little bit, hold the belly button in, and raise the arms up. Deep breath in. Now you can go as far into this as you want, or as shallow into this as you want. And the arms can be beside you if your shoulders are super, super tight. And continue to inhale and exhale. Deep breaths in and exhale. Deep breath in and exhale. Now we'll release back and do the same thing on the other side, but change up how our arms are moving. So from here, rock forward. And again, keeping a little space between the hip and the thigh. Ankle is bent a little bit less than 90 degrees and most of the weight is in through the heel. We'll raise the arms up, but this time we're going to bring them through the heart center. Open up, turn the hands under and spin together, okay? And we can open up this way, interlaced, or if your shoulders, again, if your chest is tight, we're just going to open up to the sides and squeeze. Make sure that you're holding lower belly and the rear end a little bit. Deep breath in and out. This will help open up the hip flexors and the chest. And again, it's very, very important that we slow down our breathing. Taking deep breaths of the fresh air. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And then come back to the center. We'll add a little bit more to this. So take your other leg forward once again. This time, we're going to actually touch the floor with this. So if you have tight hamstrings, we may need to get other props out, right? So if you have, say, a bench on your deck, or I'm going to actually go grab a yoga block real quick. So if you have a yoga block, mind you, I have a bunch We're going to use that just in case you have tight hamstrings. Another option is not to go down as far into it, and you can support on the knee. So we're going to rock forward, place the block down, and I don't know if you can see it, it's basically on the inside edge of my foot, on the other side, stacked up high. I'm going to rock forward. Now we can do this one of two ways. We're going to tuck our back toe under and come into a warrior one position. So I'm going to raise my body up, straighten my back leg, engage my abdominals, and push into the floor with this front leg mostly. From here, I'm going to inhale and exhale. So this is a runner's lunge. Now I'm doing a modification. This can also be done up high. It can be done with your hands on a chair, okay? It can be done with your hand on a block. And for those of you who are super bendy, it can also be done down here. But again, we want to stay up higher if we feel any pinching in the hip socket. And just breathe there. We'll take 2 more deep breaths, and then we're going to add a little something to this. On an inhale, keeping your spine as straight as possible, keeping the energy being sent towards the back leg. Take your opposite hand, or with the hand of the same leg that's forward. I'm going to put my hand in my hip crease, squeeze my shoulder back, and look over my shoulder while pushing into the floor with my bottom hand. So this is now a revolved warrior. Other ways of doing this pose include wrapping the elbow around and holding it, or holding onto a block, or just simply rotating the here. Held for 2 more breaths. Inhale, spin back to the center. Exhale, drop the bottom knee down, and then come back to the middle and come up to kneeling. And notice how you're standing. So I know we're just on our knees, you're not really standing, you're kneeling, but this is actually a good way to equate basically how the legs interact with the pelvis. We'll repeat the same thing on the other side. So if you needed a block before, we'll move that over. Again, we can move the chair over or just use it on that side. So we'll start now with the right leg. Again, ankle is underneath us. I'm going to place that block down for support. We'll come into that warrior position on this side. So inhale and exhale. I'm going to put my hand down. Tuck the toe under and raise up. And now most of my weight is going to be under this front hip. I'm going to lengthen my spine. Think of it as a long line of energy from my back heel all the way up to the crown of my head. Now I can dip my hip down a little lower if I have that mobility. And I can reach the floor if I want to. Okay, so that's an option. Another option, if you're not that flexible, is to come up. Make sure we're holding our belly tight and our bottom tight. Try not to grip through the toes. Try and keep your body weight centered through the center of the spine and through the postural muscles. Now, I'm going to rotate this or revolve my triangle. So I'll either push into the floor or into a chair or into a block, and I'm going to rotate my rib cage across and place my right hand in my... Sorry, getting a phone call. Inhale, look over your shoulder. Deep breath in and out. Inhale, look down to the floor. Exhale, I'm going to drop my knee down and come up to standing and come back to the center and open, and deep breaths in and out. We're going to come off of the knees for a little bit, largely to provide a little bit of support, but we're going to do some hip extension exercises. I'd like you to come onto your back. So we'll step through and come over onto our back. I'm going to take my towel out from under me and place it beside me. And we're going to go into a series of bridge poses. When we bridge, when we're doing gentle yoga, we don't want to overarch our back. So it's important to pay attention to where our back and our legs are in this. I'll place my feet down underneath us, underneath me on the floor. Hips are down, my rib cage is down, and my shoulder blades are down. And I'm going to try and get the little notch in the back of my skull on the ground, but yet keep a little bit of space between my neck and the ground. From here, my heels ideally are a little bit wider than my hips width, and you notice how I'm able to touch my heels with my fingertips. That's fine if your knees are pretty flexible, but if we have issues with knee range of motion, I'd like you to step out, but try and keep your heels underneath your knees as opposed to opening the legs too far away. We have a tendency to use our quads too much when we do that. So bring your heels in as close as you can. I'm going to inhale and exhale. So first and foremost, we want to get acquainted with where our hips are in space. So just place your hands at the front sides of your hips, okay? So your belly button is here, and my top of my hips are about 3 fingers below my belly button. Generally, if you use your own hands, if you place your hip bone at your hip on either side, your thumbs will eventually kind of frame your belly button. From here, I just want you to do a little bit of a pelvic tuck to see how the pelvis feels and also to warm up the lower back. So we'll inhale, belly button to rib cage. And as you exhale, think of pressing the lower back into the floor and drawing pelvis and rib cage towards each other as an exhale. Inhale, open it up, belly, rib cage. Try not to arch too much off the ground, just below or open the rib cage like a jellyfish. So even on all sides. Exhale, we're going to tuck again. So roll the pelvis and lower back into the floor. And so the obliques are engaging, rib cage toward hips. Inhale, open up, breathe like a jellyfish. Exhale, gentle tuck. Inhale. Exhale, think of engaging the muscles 3 fingers below your navel, otherwise known as uddiyana bandha. When you can feel those, when you have your hands at your hips. Inhale, belly to rib cage. Exhale. 2 more just like that. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Now, we understand kind of where our pelvis is. We'll take our hands to either side of us and rock and roll our shoulder blades under just a little bit. So I'm rotating my upper arm bones outwards and engaging my triceps and pushing down to the ground. And you can even do this with pushing your fists and your pinkies into the ground. Inhale, belly to rib cage. Exhale. Now this time we're going to draw hips and roll under. So do that tuck and then push through your heels to raise the hips up. Try not to lead with your chest because otherwise we don't. You want to lift from the hips, not from the back. So shoulders stay steady. Press through the heels, tuck under, and then lift all the way up. Try not to bow the back. So we want to think of this as coming from the pelvis and the torso, and then breathe in up to the upper ribs. And exhale. Deep breath in. It's almost as though you're putting your spine in traction a little bit. Most of what you're doing to lift into this bridge is the buttocks, hamstrings, torso. And then we'll squeeze shoulder blades just a little bit, but try not to overarch the back. Now we'll take the arms up overhead for a moment, tuck the chin, and roll down through mid-spine to lower back, and then set your pelvis down last. And then we'll start again. So deep breath in, open, spiral shoulders open. Exhale, tuck the pelvis under, press through the heels, lift up slowly, squeeze shoulder blades down your back, and breathe in and out, all the way up into the ribs. And exhale. press firmly into your heels and the backs of your legs while moving the breath up towards your heart space. Chin is relaxed, neck is relaxed. Inhale, raise the arms up and we'll lower down. So you lower down from rib cage to lower back to hips and reset. So we'll do 2 more bridges just like that. So be very cognizant of how the breath is moving and cognizant of where your feet are. So big inhale, belly to rib cage like a jellyfish. Exhale, tuck pelvis under. Lift and peel the hips off the ground. Press into the floor. Rock and roll shoulders under, and then inhale and exhale. Now raising the arms up overhead, lowering down gently, rib cage to lower spine to hips, and then release the hands down. Here's our last bridge. Inhale, belly to rib cage. Exhale, tuck pelvis and ribs towards each other. And now press the heels into the ground and lift up off the ground as you exhale. Rock and roll shoulders and inhale and exhale 5 times. Soften the neck and the throat. Gaze is down the tip of the nose towards the space between the knees. And breathe all the way up into your heart space, maintaining strength through the legs. And then raise the arms up overhead and lower down, all the way from ribs to hips to lower spine. Now gently bring in one leg at a time. We're going to do a little bit of a low back stretch. So tuck the pelvis under, and we're going to rock and roll very gently side to side. Now, settle the hips in the middle. We're going to take a little inhale and open up the space between the hips and the torso, but just to about arm's length. So realize you're in perfect proportion to yourself. What we're going to do is a few tucks. So this is for the abdomen and for the breathing and to stretch the spine and the lower back a little bit. What I'd like you to do is inhale gently. We're going to engage the lower belly just a little bit. Think of lifting up through the pelvic floor, so as though you have to go to the bathroom but can't. Inhale like a jellyfish. As you exhale, gently bring knees to chest and tuck the chin towards the chest. Now big inhale. Open up the space between the knees and the chest, but only to arm's length. Exhale, tuck chin to chest and squeeze the lower belly in towards you. Inhale, open up. And move conscientiously and slowly. Exhale, tuck chin to chest and bring knees towards the forehead this time. Inhale, gently lower the pelvis, gently lower the head. Inhale. And exhale, knees towards forehead, chin towards chest. Inhale, open up. Now, if this is too much for you and you need a little bit more space, the feet can be separated from each other, and you can even hook onto the knees to the outside edge of the thighs. Inhale. We'll do 2 more like that. Exhale, tuck chin to chest. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale, lengthen. And now we're going to lower the feet one at a time, reaching out and up, and gently moving one leg down to the ground. Now from here, hold one leg. We'll do a little brief hip flexor stretch. So you want to keep your pelvis nice and steady. I'm going to do this on the opposite leg so you can see how I'm doing it at first. So I'm going to engage my lower belly. I'm going to press my heel into the floor and draw up through my abdomen at the same time. Now from here, I'm going to draw this knee up where I can, and that can be simply right here if you feel a stretch already through where the extended leg meets the torso. So from here, I'm going to take a big breath into my rib cage, and this will accentuate the stretch perhaps. Inhale. Pause my breath. And now I'm going to exhale fully and completely all the way out through my obliques. Another deep breath in, and take as big a breath as you possibly can. And pause. Exhale all the way out. Keep the bottom leg energized. Inhale like a jellyfish. And exhale. And pause. Bring both knees into the chest once again and rock and roll. And now we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So we'll extend the leg out, holding one leg, center the hips, press the heel a little bit into the floor. Shoulders are pressing in towards the floor. Big breath in, like a jellyfish through the rib cage. And pause and exhale. Big breath in. And pause. And exhale. Big breath in. And pause. Exhale. 2 more deep breaths. And pause. And exhale. Big breath in. And exhale. Now inhale. Bring the opposite foot in. And we're just going to rock and roll again side to side. And now we'll roll up to a sitting position. Now from here, we are next going to move on to our tummies. Do a little bit of heart center opening, a few cobras and locusts, and we'll end with shavasana. So blocks nearby if you need it. Towels nearby. I'm going to actually have you, for those of you that have sensitive lower backs, you'll take your towel and fold it into quarters. So you'll fold it in half and then fold it again. Okay, and now with the width of your mat, you're going to roll it a little bit so it becomes kind of a long sort of taquito shaping thing. In Texas, we have all sorts of rolled tortilla type things. We'll place this underneath our hips and then roll over. Or you can just place it on your mat as you roll over. Okay, so this is going to take up some space so that I don't overarch my lower back in some of these movements and I can get into my rib cage a little bit. This part of our spine, otherwise known as the thorax, right? It's all these all the muscles in the ribs and the spine that's related to the ribs. It stiffens as we get older. So it's important that we get a little bit of movement through it. Remember, if anything hurts or feels jammed, we want to back off from it, okay? So from here, we're going to lay down with our hip bones on this the bolster, okay? And so that helps to provide a little bit of space. If my back tends to dump or overarch, I want the towel more towards the upper part of my pelvis. If I tend to round, right, I want it towards the bottom of my pelvis so that I get a little bit more lumbar spine activation, okay? So based on how your spine is shaped, that's going to be how we place the bolster, okay? So if my spine looks like this most of the time, meaning I tend to be more lordotic, okay, I'm going to place that towel higher up on my hips towards my belly button. If I tend to be more rounded or flat backed, right, with a little tushy, okay, I am going to place that towel towards the base of my hips so my lumbar spine actually engages a little bit more, okay? So choose which place to put it, and we'll come into a Cobra and then a few Locust poses. So because I tend to be swayed, I'm going to use this at the high hip, okay? Adjust as you need to. Now we're going to place our hands underneath our shoulders. So try and get as close to your torso as you can. For those of you with really tight shoulders, we may be on the edges of our mats, and that's totally okay. Thumbs are going to point to the shoulders. Elbows are right at about the center of our ribs, okay? And my nose is kind of in between the middle knuckle of my hands. From here, press the forearms into the floor, pull the belly button into the floor, and engage your rear end just a little bit, okay? And I want you to push the forearms into the floor, peel the rib cage up, and hold right there. Now, try not to clench the chest, try not to clench the neck. I want you to tuck your chin to your collarbone, armpits tight, belly button in, and now reach the heart center forward, almost like you're trying to pull yourself towards the wall in front of you. So it's an active Cobra. Now, if you don't have any neck issues, gently look to the far edge of your mat. We do not want to collapse through the neck and look all the way up, and I know it's kind of hard if you're looking at your phone, but if you can, bring your phone underneath you so that you can look at it on your mat beside you if you have your phone. If you're looking at a television screen, maybe move your mat to the side so that you can see it from the side, and that'll be a little gentler on your neck. Now I want you to think of breathing up through the heart space, drawing the shoulder blades down and pressing into the floor. So we're doing an active gentle Cobra. And take 3 more deep breaths. Last deep breath in. Exhale, let the head lower down, okay? And now to rest for a moment, you can place your hands underneath your forehead or just put your nose to one side. Make sure that you don't feel any crimping in your neck or throat. Now we're going to do the same pose again, which is our Cobra. And again, we'll position our hands beside us on either side. Hands kind of frame our eyeballs. Elbows are at the base of our ribs. The thumbs are actually, you could literally easily point to the edge of your shoulder. From here, press through the forearms, middle of the forearms, into the floor. Peel the belly button off the ground and engage your buttocks just a little bit. Press down into the floor, trying to equally engage the underside of the shoulder as well as the chest. Now from here, try and pull your body forward, lifting the heart center towards the front edge of your mat, and then lifting the gaze slightly. Deep breaths in and out. Soften the jaw and the throat. Allow space between your teeth. And keep activity up and down the spine. This should feel like an arching movement forward as opposed to a crimpy movement in any place in the spine. If it feels crimpy anywhere, relax and come back to it. You may need to put your hands out a little bit, but that, like for me, that hurts my back. We may need to come in a little bit, may need to go out a little bit, may need to lower a little bit. Just do it based on what feels best for you. One more deep breath in. Now lowering down once again, hands can come underneath the forehead. Now we're going to do what's called a locust position. And this is where you may wish to have your other blanket or the block underneath your forehead to start, or even to support it during the pose. I'm going to stack this in front of me in eighths. So fold it twice. And then I'm going to have this be like forehead distance, okay? So I can actually have a supported open chest position from here. The towel can actually be set right at your third eye point so that the nose has adequate space to breathe and the spine can be nice and long in relation to the floor. So I'm just going to place that there and put my hands at my sides. I want to make sure my other blanket is supporting my back adequately so I have a long neutral lumbar spine, and a neutral lumbar spine actually has a little bit of a curve towards the floor. My thoracic spine is this upper part. What we're going to try and do is extend through it, okay? And only come up as high as you want to. Now from here, lift up the feet and kind of tuck your thighs under a little bit and lift and press the top side of the toes on the ground. From here, inhale. As you exhale, you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together, pull your belly button in and squeeze your buttocks, and lift the feet by an inch. Try and extend the knees off the floor. And from here, I'm going to lift my heart center forward and just gently come off of the towel. Now, if that's too much, I can engage my muscles top to bottom and keep my head down. But I want to spin my shoulders open. For some of us, that might be a lot. Try not to press the head into the blanket and jam the neck. We want to have a nice long spine. Think of reaching through the crown of the head towards the wall, and the heels, in my case towards my yard, but towards the opposite wall. Inhale one more time, and then lower down, feet, belly button drops us down. So always lower down with control. We'll do locust again. For those of you with flexible shoulders, you may want to try this with the hands on the hips. And again, if that's too much, guys, you can also have the hands out to the sides and do this as a supported locust. So I'm going to show you it as a supported locust. So my palms are down on the ground, my thumbs are pointing away from me. I will spiral shoulders open, pull the belly button in, engage my glutes, and lift my feet up off the ground by an inch. And now from here, I'm going to just lift my chest up. Think of lifting my chest and the crown of my head to the opposite wall. Belly button is drawn away from the floor, my legs are engaged, my glutes are engaged, my spine is engaged. And put the feet down on the ground, gently lower the head down, and place the hands underneath you. We're going to do a child's pose to reset everything. So I'm going to press down with my elbows into the floor, peel my belly button off the floor, and tuck just a little bit, and rock my sit bones back. And again, you can go as deep into that pose or as shallow into the pose as you want. One way of doing child's pose modified is just here, and that may be enough for you. You can also do that with our elbows down instead of onto our hands and place our forehead here. Another way of doing this is to just place the hands right beside your heels and fold forward. And this is a little bit of a counter pose and a rebounding pose for the locust or the back bend that we just did. And now from here, we're going to walk our body forward and get ourselves ready for a little bit of Shavasana. Shavasana is our resting pose. And so, if you all tuned in last Friday, with one of my towels, I like to actually roll a little lip of it so I can support the nape of my neck. And then I create a little cradle for the back side of my head in here to support my head from the floor. That's one option. You can also just place that little neck roll with a flat towel out behind you. Now with this one, let's say that I have lower back issues, I can roll this over and it can become a little bit of a lift for my knees so my lower back can stay flat. Or let's say that I have a lot of heel pain, I can place it underneath my heels too. So these are all options so that we can come into the most comfortable kind of end rest. So I tend to like to come into this position. For many folks, they're fine. They may want to have a little bit more of a knee bend, in which case, please feel free to put towels, or if you do have yoga blocks, you can actually stack them and support at the thigh for a little bit more of a bend. Today, I need a little bit more of a lift of my head, just the way I'm positioned today. And so try and find a position where you can be cradled. In other words, it should feel as though the floor is supporting underneath you, almost like you can completely let go into the floor. So continue to breathe deeply. Continue to soften the throat and allow your body to sink into the floor. So allow the feet to release, allow the lower back to release, allow the belly to rise and fall, and for your breath to stay long and controlled. Pay the most attention to your breath and try to allow the body to completely let go. So if you need to fidget a little bit to allow for the body to release a little bit, please do so. And sometimes we need to do something uneven like I just did. But finding your breath, allow the eyes to close. Separate your teeth, yet keep your mouth closed, unless of course you have allergies, and breathe gently in and out through the nose. Allow the body to melt into the floor. And with each breath, just concentrate on that inhale and exhale as though that's all that exists of your body. Continue to allow with each exhalation a little bit more release of the body into the floor. Listen to each inhalation and exhalation as though that is all that exists right now. Allow the body to ragdoll into the floor. Again, coming back to your inhalation, nice and slow and fluid in. Pausing at the top, and then exhaling gently all the way out, letting go of any remaining tension. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring awareness back to fingers and toes and where your knees are positioned. Gently fidgeting and bringing knees into the chest, adding any additional stretches you may want. And then we're gently going to roll and take as much time as possible to come back up to a comfortable sitting position. So gently come up with awareness, nice and slowly. You can even position one of your towels underneath your hips or sit on a block. I'm going to actually position my feet in the towel. And now we're in a good place. You can even meditate here for a few minutes. It's always important to take a few deep breaths during this time. This is a stressful time for all of us, not knowing what's going on. But you can practice yoga and deep breathing anywhere, anytime. And hopefully you've enjoyed the practice today. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Any comments or questions, please let me know. We'll try this again at 12:30 on Friday, and I'll broadcast it live. Have a fabulous, fabulous rest of your day, and hope that the sun is shining for you like it is here in Austin. Namaste. Have a great day, guys.